Welcome to beautiful Bovec, Slovenia. We're checking out the all-new YETI SB140. It's been a handful of years since Yeti's updated their 27.5-inch bikes, and I gotta tell you what, I'm pretty excited that this thing exists. It's got 140 millimeters of travel out back, it's paired with a 160 millimeter fork out front, and it's ready to rally. Let's dig into some details. Right off the bat, the first thing you'll note is the bike's light feel. It's an easy spin to the top, and for those wanting to mash, it really doesn't take much to make it get up and go. The SB140 has a nice, calm pedaling feel that's typical of Yeti bikes. Pedal away, it feels efficient regardless of your tempo or gearing. Now, this is bolstered by the fast-rolling 2.6 Maxxis Recon rear tire, which actually has decent mud clearance. We hit a trail originally made to transport war supplies that was fast, steep, and covered in leaves. Pointed downhill, I found the bike accommodating to a lot of riding styles. Ride it off the back or over the front, and it's going to keep you sorted. Through some of the faster, rougher bits, the rear end feel impressed me with its ability to soak things up. One thing that really stood out though was the bike's cornering feel, especially in tight turns and uphill corners. A shorter offset fork doesn't always work the best in those scenarios, but on this bike, combined with a 50mm stem, if you initiate the turn slightly early, the bike hooks right into the turn and gets it done. It's very agile feeling, perhaps too much so though, and after riding the bike in Slovenia, I wanted to get in some more time on the SB140. Okay, so what's been updated? Compared to the SB5 that it replaces, the SB140 gets an additional 13mm of rear travel and 10mm on the fork. And it's also a good deal longer and slacker. With reach values that are 23 to 40mm longer across the board, the 65-degree front end is also 1.5 degrees slacker than the SB5. It's a big change. Now, Yeti pairs this with a shorter 37mm offset Fox 36 fork. Out back, you're looking at 4mm shorter chainstays, which add to the agility side of the equation, without getting crazy short. Of course, you're also looking at a 77-degree effective seat tube angle. That's a full 3.5 degrees steeper. This takes what was already a good pedaling bike and improves on it, no question about it. The SB140 was designed for riders from 4'11" to 6'7", so you're going to note low standover heights. These are really nice for shorter riders, women, and getting on and off the bike. 30mm shorter seat tubes also expand dropper post compatibility quite a bit. Overall, the bike has a really nice appearance with a top tube that looks super sleek from the top down, which I think is perfectly fitting of a trail bike. Yeti continues the theme with a tidy rear axle and pivot hardware. The bike features an updated version of Yeti's Switch Infinity suspension design and a similar layout to the SB130, meaning there's now room for a water bottle, awesome, and a piggyback shock. So as the bike moves through its travel, the up and down motion of the Switch Infinity system helps tailor anti-squat values across a big range of sag values before it drops off later in the stroke. This helps prevent pedal kickback. Following some quick suggestions from their handy setup calculator, it was time to hit the trails. All right guys, I'm in Durango, Colorado now, about to drop in on a classic mountain bike trail. Really curious to see how the new SB140 does in some different terrain. With some additional time on the bike and new terrain, I really got a feel for how nice it is to push into the SB140 suspension. It's really nice and supported back there, and you can get that last second pop you desire. At 13% progression, it's not a hyperactive bunny rabbit on the trails, but instead the rear end strikes a nice balance between planted and playful when combined with an air shock. Playing around on this bike is an absolute joy, and it's easy to get the front end up and throw it around. Despite having just 140mm of travel, the bike eats up the chop surprisingly well. It's a nice smooth feel, and the suspension allows the rear wheel to get up and out of the way nice and quickly. This helps maintain speed in flatter, rougher terrain, and I have yet to experience any real bottom out issues. Now, at 5 foot 10 inches tall, I chose a size medium with a 460mm reach. Throughout the test though, I felt like something in the steering geometry was just a bit off. Things simply felt a bit too agile and a little bit twitchy at times. Now, this can be great for falling into slow speed turns, but it felt like the number of corrections I needed to make was just excessive for having a shorter offset fork. This also presented itself on steeper terrain, which mentally kept me from really letting things go. After some experimenting, I suggest raising the bars a good deal or using a higher rise version in the first place, plus opting for a shorter 40mm stem. Yeti went to 50mm this year, so riders didn't feel as though they had to get over the front end as much, but in all honesty, I think getting over the front end is a good thing. Don't fight it, learn it. I also found that this bike is undergunned in the braking department, partially due to small rotor size and minimalist knobs on that skatey 2.6-inch wide Recon rear tire. At a minimum, I suggest moving to a sintered steel brake pad to get more power, plus something more aggressive when you replace the rear tire. Finally, despite having fully guided internal routing, there is a persistent but slight cable-like rattle as I go down the trail.
Looking the build over, I love that the SB140 comes with a Fox 36 fork and DPX2 shock in its stock trim. The bike has a proper Minion DHF front tire that helps lead the charge, 780mm handlebars, ISC G05 tabs to mount a guide or bash, plus it shares hardware with newer Yeti models. There's also really nice full wrap protection on the chainstay and a guard on the downtube. Though it's gained some weight compared to the super light SB5 it replaces, this size medium TURQ T2 build still came in at a respectable 13.2 kilograms, or 29.2 pounds. Yeti recently recategorized their lineup as bikes to race and bikes to rip, and I fully agree with the rip designation for the SB140.
This is where the bike comes alive, where you're just playing around. Love it.
I love this bike in more casual terrain at moderate speeds where it's a pump, pop, and jump machine. This is a good trail bike for those who prefer 27.5 wheels, who like to play around on mild to moderately technical trails with lots of undulations. For anybody wanting just a little bit more though, you're going to find the SB130 better suited to faster speeds. Yeti has 5 SB140 builds across their C and TURQ series starting at $53.99. all with a lifetime warranty, and I'm excited to see if they'll add a lunch ride version in the future. Just spend some time dialing in the front end feel of this bike, and you're going to find that it's an absolute blast.
Well guys, that's a wrap on the new SB140. It's been a fun ride. Be sure to hit up vitalmtb.com or yeticycles.com for more details. Woo!